and you can manifest whatever you wish.
Did you learn a lot of this stuff when you were accessing this, as you described, the hyperspace?
Hyperspace, yes.
Yeah, during your work at Montauk?
Yes, the only difference is that at Montauk, the application was in a negative manner.
Mm.
And in my work, I teach each individual to use it in a positive way for themselves as an individual.
What else can you share with us about how was the experience? Was this something you saw with your eyes, where your spirit transferred to this place, or was this an internal thing? Is there something you want to describe for us here?
Yes, all human beings have the same capacity. So even though it was my experience in Montauk, every human being in existence has the same ability to access this layer. It basically is the God mind within you. If we understand that God mind is all that there is, and everything we experience is simply our perception of the God mind, then we realize our connection. In the physical body, the pineal gland at the very center of the head is our liaison, or the physical structure that connects to the non-physical aspects of ourselves. Mm-hmm. In the same way that an electron is both physical and non-physical at the same time. So you can think of it in this analogy. And when we concentrate at the pineal gland, especially in the color of royal blue, that is an access code into this hyperspace level. And when we access the hyperspace level, we will be in a zone of pure energy. Every thought then produces a color and symbol and tone. And if we learn how to put these symbols and colors and tones together in a formula or a sentence of what we wish to create, then we can manifest this in our physical plane. That's what I teach in my classes.
Very, very interesting. And again, this actually reminds me of something that I read about with the Philadelphia experiment that has connection, of course, with Montauk and all this. And this was something called Project Rainbow. And again, we're back to the color scheme of things. Is there some kind of connection here, do you think?
Yes, if we take white light and we shine it through a prism, it breaks up into the various colors, like the rainbow. And so human being chakra system is made up the same way. Our chakra system is basically the white light of God mind through the prism of physical reality in the body. And that's why we have chakra system, which is what buttons us into the body, the soul personality. And we also have to remember that even though we're focused in this reality, we exist simultaneously in infinite realities that we can then tap into if we use hyperspace techniques.
And so what you're saying here is that this is accessible for everyone, and this is not like you need a device or a drug or anything like that,
No, in fact, when people write to me and they show me, this website and that website has this device and that, a big red flag goes up for me because all of these devices I know can only be sold if the government allows it, and that I question then what is really being transmitted. I teach people to use their own mind and to trust their own mind. Regardless of even what I tell them, I say to them, don't even believe me, do it yourself, and you see for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Trust yourself and your own mind and learn the techniques and get your own information.
Exactly.
Then you will see truth.
Exactly. That's totally right. I totally agree with you there. I'm thinking, though, about the use of different entheogens. I mean, this is, again, something going back to many native tribes and people around the world, like ayahuasca. They use peyote, psilocybin, different ones. What are these drugs, and do you think that they actually have helped humanity to some extent?
I'm going to tell you, and I know a lot of people will be upset about this, but if we lived in a planet that was free and no control system, I would say go experiment with those things. But I know that those narcotics that you've mentioned were used by the Illuminati and their programmers to create the mind control.
Mm.
And they can trigger you into alters and functions that could be very detrimental. So I do not encourage anyone to use those items because it could trigger you into an alter. You know, what they put in is how they take it out. If they use drugs to program, that also will trigger you into the program. So this is an issue for me when I see people using these things.
Well, exactly, that's right. And again, my mind is taken back to the fact that LSD was based on, I can't remember now, but one of the one mushrooms, or if it was the ergot substance, that fungus that grows on wheat, I think. Yeah. And again, going back, tying this together with the fact that SSRIs or happy pills today are based on LSD. So again, I see a lot of this, that there is a kind of a mind control thing going on there, and that there is potential for manipulation. Who knows actually what happens, and in what way your neural pathways open up, what you become, what you can, get into your mind or get into your brain, basically. That's what I see as kind of a red flag. But
yeah, and isn't it interesting that everyone, at least in the United States, they are told by their doctors that they must be on some kind of pill or medication.
Yeah.
And so in these medications and pills, whether it's prescribed or over the counter, it has aluminum, mercury, lead, barium. These are just standard components. All of that fixed to your genetic molecular structure and make you like an antenna. And so that's why all the food that we eat, the processed foods, the drinks, all have these chemicals in it that embed in our cellular structure and basically make us like walking receptors.
But a different kind of receptor, because I've heard or read that the pineal gland actually works as a kind of natural receiver transmitter kind of thing, but a lot of the chemicals, I've also heard that they actually suppress the function of the pineal gland.
Yes, that's right, absolutely, and that's what we find in Prozac and Zoloft and Lipitor and all these drugs they're pushing on people block the use of the pineal gland. Yes, absolutely correct.
Well, exactly, and so again, one of the ways of preventing this is watching your, obviously what you put into your body. Well, be careful with the food and try to avoid the chemicals. But beyond that, you mentioned, when we're talking about that, oh well, there's nothing we can do anyway because they have, satellite, induced, things that they can do. I'm back to that idea that we're defenseless, but we are not defenseless here. That's what you're saying, and that we can, with the help of our accessing our higher levels of ourselves, we can resist this kind of manipulation that is ongoing and attacking us every day?
That is absolutely correct. They would like us to believe that it's a losing battle. They would like us to think we're disconnected from the God mind within, but that's impossible. Human beings only use 10% or less of their brain capacity. But what's even more remarkable is that we only use 3% of our DNA capacity. And scientists call the other 97% junk DNA because they don't know what it is for. But when we look at all the different species, whether it's human being, an elephant, an amoeba, an alien, they all have that 97% DNA in common. Now that is a proof of God mind to me, that all these different species, no matter where they come from, have 97% identical DNA. So that is one mind created that.
Yeah.
So if we are able to tap in to even a percentage of that, we can then gain more control of ourselves. And the hope for me is that eventually we'll reach a critical mass that can spill over to the rest, and then we will have no control system over us. But the problem with humanity is, as I mentioned in the first hour about how we are hybrids and that there is a conflict already born within us because of our mixed genetics. So if we are born with a victimization mind pattern, and a victimization victimization mind pattern as a species will then attract tyrants and oppressors. So if we eliminate the victimization mind pattern from humanity, we cannot have tyrants and oppressors, and we will be free.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I think you're right on there. The victim mentality, it's a big part of this, always looking towards some leader or some kind of government, security, whatever it might be, that is supposed to take care of us in some way or comfort us, and we're looking at an external thing instead of going inwards and finding the security within yourself. That's what I see as a key part in all of this.
I agree. And so when I do my work in my classes, I teach how to open the DNA sequences and see what they offer yourself. I teach you how to use the pineal gland in order to open a portion, at least of that 90% of the brain it's not using, and to access that infinite side of yourself through Oversoul and God Mind, that it will enable you to control everything in your life again. I think that should be a goal for humanity. Oh,
definitely. Yeah, exactly. Well, we are in a lot of trouble, and basically I see that people, first of all, need to wake up. They need to realize what is going on around them. They need to observe that and not just trying to push it all away. Or, again, it's the fear mentality that because it's a dual thing there, because people are so in a fear mode already, so meaning that anything that is negative or showing them that something is actually a lot worse than they thought or whatever, they can't process that information and actually learn from it or realize that they're being manipulated or that they're being used in some way. And so people fail to actually recognize the problem, I see.
That's correct. We live in a society where people are more concerned about how much they're paying for petrol and how they're going to keep their job and pay for their mortgage. This is what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about who's running the world.
That's right.
And so it's a very clever diversion to make people worried about the very daily aspects of their life instead of worrying about the earth itself and who's in control.
That's right. Absolutely.
So it's a very brilliant diversion by the elite. But people need to wake up before it's too late, because it's coming to the point now where they are just about to get what they want.
Well, exactly. It's a kind of a convergence of many different things. It's in regards to technology stuff. It's coming, online or whatever we want to call that. It's being implemented. We have again the possibility of a microchipped population, and at that point, who knows how deep into the matrix people can be trapped by that stage. So it's, what is the end game here? And in regards to time, how do you see things developing in the few years here ahead?
Well, I will tell you from the Illuminati government perspective, and you use the word end game, but it's really end time programming, where they are going to fulfill the book of Revelation in a manner that people will accept as true. And they are going to create, in the next year or two, a staged alien invasion. And then they will bring in another alien group who will be a savior race, which will be reptilian in nature, who will then remove the attacking force from the earth. And then they will bring in a staged second coming of Christ, who will proclaim the New World Order as his holy new empire. And then they will have wrapped up everything that they want. They will have created a global empire on this planet, and then they intend to move out into the galaxy and create a galactic empire, just like the Draco did from their own star system. That's their intention.
And do they want to use the human race as some kind of drone or organic robot in this war for the galaxy?
And that's the Borg. And, interestingly, if you watch the Borg show on Star Trek, what do they fly around in?
A cube. Yeah.
Programming cube. It's blatant right there. They're basically telling you what they're doing.